a massive welcome to my next guest, and I'll be honest, a person, an individual I've admired professionally for so long. Just probably one of the most inspirational stories ever to be in world boxing. The former cruiserweight world champion, Mr. Johnny Nelson. Johnny, how you doing? You well?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
That honestly, the honour is all mine. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I was getting teared up about you earlier, mate. I'll be honest.
Go on, what have I done?
I don't know. I've got so many similarities with you and my back when I used to fight and my former trainer and you and Brendan and mate,
Yeah,
it just brought stuff back, and in a way that I don't think many people really understand, And when I saw Brendan talking about you, like. Literally, he was like your dad. It teared
yeah,
me up.
yeah,
It really did.
yeah.
But what we try and do here, we try to do things a little bit differently and get to the roots of who you are. Now, we see you on telly all the time as a pundit on Sky Sports, and you're brilliant. You're really good at what you do. And I actually met you around about 10 or 15 years ago, about 15 years ago when I started my media. And I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, he's massive. You were so big. And I remember it like it was yesterday. You were there, I think it was Tim Witherspoon and a few others that were
Oh
there on the
wow, oh
show at
god, yeah,
Stoke.
yeah,
So it was
yeah.
a fair time ago, but it's great to speak with you on the show. So, what we'd like to do is like learn what makes you tick, and kind of where this came from, because it was such a inspirational story. So, starting from the very beginning, kind of what got you into boxing?
It's a well documented story that I just did it to make friends, and that was it. I my friend, my brother, he was my hero. He was like probably my coolest friend, because and I followed him everywhere, and because I followed him everywhere, and he went to the gym, whatever he did, I did, and when he started boxing, I wanted to box, and he knew that you can't play at boxing, so he said if I went to another gym for at least a year, 2 years, then I could join his gym, which was at Brendan's. I never went to the gym. I probably went once or twice in that year, and they used to walk out of the house and wait till he was outside and then get back home again, and make up all these silly stories about what I'd done in the gym. And he let me go to the gym, and that's it. I walked into the gym, and I've always said there's two places I feel most at home, most comfortable, most at peace to this day, and that's at my mum's or at the gym. When you come out of the gym and it stinks, it smells, but that place is the most settled place, one of the most settled places I could be in, because now it's part of my identity.
It's weird that, isn't it? And I can talk to you on a level when it comes to the smell of gyms. I mean, the normal person walking into a gym think, "Oh my god, this is horrible. It's grimy. It stinks." I don't know. I feel amazing.
Yeah,
I remember
no,
going to Liverpool and Kirkdale. I don't know if you've ever been in the amateur gym in Kirkdale. It was vile. It was horrendous. I remember coming out
yeah,
with. I don't know if you follow. Oh, of course, you follow boxing, but Nathan Heaney, who's a middleweight for Frank Warren. He's
okay,
he's my best friend, and we were sparring partners for many years. And we were at Kirkdale, and I come out with a big black eye, and he had a busted lip, and we just sat down like Customato and Mike Tyson eating steak soup in the end. So it was it's an amazing feeling, isn't
yeah.
it? Have smelling that.
It's
Weird.
real. When you go into those places, no airs and graces. You go to these gyms now, and they've got everything. And people that are going to the gyms now, they don't realize how well they've got it.
Yeah.
Showers, you've got shower running hot water, toilets that flush, and the door on the toilet. And but our gym, it was the best place ever. I could, no matter where I'd been in the world, to me it felt like home. It just felt like home. And even now, when I go in, I get all excited. And I see the kids come and go, and I think, you know what? You don't realize how amazing this place is.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, kind of going to the gym to make mates, which I think's awesome. And I want to kind of uncover the person you were and maybe still are to an extent. Um, why to make mates? You were a big lad. You're a good-looking lad.
You
Why?
know what?
Why?
I wasn't a fight. I've got, I had five brothers, one sister, I was the weakling of our family. I was a crybaby. I was the mummy's boy, and so I wasn't. I didn't want to fight. My sister could. My sister was the cock of our school, and so to me, I was good with that. I was pretty fast at running. I couldn't fight. I could talk myself way out of anything. But I was very shy as well. So I struggled to actually speak and converse with adults as a child. And I don't know why that was. And many times people tried to psychoanalyze that. But spoke
Yeah.
to adults, I start crying. I'd be like, I just couldn't speak to adults. And I was a mummy's boy, without a doubt. And I think boxing, I learned so much more in boxing in the boxing gym than I did at any school, any college, any short stint at university. Boxing in that world around Brendan, that was my education. I left school with the handwriting of a 12-year-old, the reading ability of a 10-year-old. I wasn't. I went to, and my mum would say to us in the morning, "Do you want to go to school today?" I'm like, you could say yes or no. I went to have a laugh with my friends.
Yeah.
That's where I went. So, but I'd go to school because I liked going to school. Our school was run by nuns. Used to be an all girls school. I think I was a second or third year guinea pigs when it comes to boys
Okay.
being introduced to the school, and it was a Catholic school. So we couldn't really knock about the kids in our area because they got certain kids from deprived areas of Sheffield to go to this school, and I was one of them. So my friends at school, some of them came from a nice area of Sheffield. So when we left school, they go and work for their parents over the university or college. They were set. I'd be back in the hood. I had like nothing. So by the time I was 15, and they wore me out of school, I didn't do any exams at school. I had no qualifications, nothing going for me. And again, I say some people fall on their path in life. Some people know their path in life. I was shoved on my path in life. So I didn't want to box. The downside of going to the gym was having to fight. When my opponents didn't turn up in the amateurs, I'd talk all the big talk. I was going to do this, that, and the other. I was rubbish. I couldn't fight. And I had 13 amateur fights. I only won 3. Now, I didn't care if I won or lost. I was just there with my mates. And Brendan, God bless him, he understood it was a long process. He said, look, you aren't going to come good until you're in your 30s, and you're a mummy's boy. He said, you've got to let go of your mum's apron strings. And I didn't quite get it at the time. As I got old, I thought, I get it. And he did a lot of things to make me grow up.
Yeah.
He tried a lot of things, and a lot of the things failed. But once the penny had dropped, no one could ever tell me anything in regards to not having a bottle or not being mature enough to be able to do it. But Brendan you've got to go through experiences to get wisdom. And Brendan put me through many, many experiences to get the wisdom to be the man I am.
He put a lot of time into you, and considering what some other people may say is that, it's certain, whether it be yourself or other people, you've been accused of letting people down in the past. So why was he so confident? Why was he so confident that, listen, you're special, you're gonna rule the world? What made him think that?
So Brendan's success wasn't boxing, and people don't realize that. Brendan's success was the kids in the community, girls that became women, that became mothers, that became whatever profession, boys that became men, that became fathers, and whatever profession. The success he had within the community, and the people like me, I'm one of pet, and there's loads of me.
Yeah.
So the people like me that he helps, it's unbelievable. So you see the boxing side of it, that's the tip of the iceberg. You go below the sea surface, and there's so much success. He's helped so many people. He's a people's person. And I say over and over again, Brendan taught us to think. Schools teach you to remember. And you understand what that is.
Yeah.
They teach you to remember what's in a book. They teach you to remember what they've been taught. He teaches you to think, use your brain, and so think on your feet, learn how to work with people. He taught you life and social skills. They don't teach you this in schools.
Yeah.
So I had the best teacher ever. And some kids, they go to school, they aren't good with their pen and paper.
Yeah.
Some kids are good with their hands. Some kids are good visually, mentally. You know, you've got to talk, you've got to hear it, and audio needs. And so, but Brendan, he understood that, and so he spent time with everybody, and everybody had the same opportunity, and it was a case of how you embrace that. And if you embrace that opportunity, and you listened, then, and I'm my own example. So I never needed a script. I listened. You know, I thought, well, I've got nothing else going for me. I listened to the letter. If he said jump, I just jumped.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of ups and downs, heartache. And I'd seen so many people succeeding, and I had to understand what I was actually seeing. I had to somehow internally understand it and get my head around it.
Yeah.
And so doing it that way, that was the beginning of my life story, my life's education. So my education didn't start until I was 14, 15 years old. And that's where the real story begins.
It's just, I don't know how to even kind of, I don't know what to call him. I mean, he was a wonderful human, and that's what. And I learn more and more about him every day. A mutual friend of ours, Lee McAllister, he told me the story of when he sent a letter to Brendan when he was something like 10 or 12 years old, saying, "I'm going to be your next champion." And realistically, who would accept that? Who would even, in the position he was in at the time? Who would
I actually remember that.
Yeah.
Brendan would tell us the stories. Brendan was, that's what I'm saying, he wasn't just a coach, he was a mentor. And the thing is, in today's world, today's society, we all need mentors, and mentors can come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to live in a city where Brendan Ingle lived. I was fortunate enough to know Brendan Ingle.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to benefit from Brendan's wisdom. So when I used to see kids like Lee McAllister and people out coming from other cities, or even other countries to live in Sheffield just to be around Brendan, I realised how fortunate I was. I realised that if I had to pay for that, I'd never be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And so, and I totally get that. And Brendan's philosophy, way of teaching was very unorthodox, and so the masses didn't quite understand it. So if you listen to the masses are trying to talk you out of being with Brendan. No, he doesn't know what he's doing, is this, that, and the other, because they didn't understand him. But then you look at the success that Brendan has in that gym. I think it's 5, 6 world champions, 8, 9 European champions, 12 Commonwealth, 16 to 20 British in one gym. That's from one gym.
Yeah.
That's not just one city. That's one. No cities achieved that. Never mind one gym. And these are and many of them, 95% of them, are homegrown fighters. They're not people he's picked off that were half cooked and then he's just polished them off. People he's created. And he used to say that if you produce one champion, people will say you're lucky. He's not bad, he's all right. Produce 2, still a bit of luck. When you're producing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, people have then got to give credit where credit's due. And Brendan was always up against the system because they were jealous, because they didn't understand what he was doing. He was just unorthodox.
I mean, he speaks so admirably about you, but was he openly loving with you? Because he seemed like he just loved you so much. And was he like that, or was he a stern?
Brendan, no. Brendan was he knew how to motivate everybody in different ways. Me, you'll try, if he's got to shout at you. But Brendan didn't have to shout at you; just talk to you. He just talked to you and make you rationalize your thought process, rationalize what you're thinking, what you're doing, and go through it. Let you figure it out for yourself. And then if you figure it out for yourself and use your brain, then he's like, and then that's where the real lesson is.
Yeah.
And so, and that's how Brendan worked. And he did it with all of us. It's up to you if you want to listen. And again, there were so many people that was much more talented than me.
Yeah.
But they didn't succeed because they didn't listen.
Yeah.
They didn't implement it.
And I suppose that's what you mean by, helping you think, rather than trying to teach you to remember.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I can put you in a position where they might, and it's a transferable skill. So if you've got issues going on and you can't figure out anything, God, what should I do? How should I deal with this? then you've either got to find somebody that can talk you through it, that's had the experience that'll help you out, or you've got to find someone that's going to make you ask those questions of yourself. So when you speak out loud about your issues, any problems, whatever, once it's out there and you hear it, then you look at it differently. He taught us how to understand ourselves. He taught us how to understand people. Taught us how to motivate, to be motivated.
Yeah.
And he was very good at saying, look, you know what? Once you have the confidence to match your ability, you will never be beaten. And now I'm older. A lot of things that he said coming through,
Yeah.
I thought
You
I didn't
understand
get
more.
it at the time.
Yeah.
But I understood as time goes on. And I can tell you how to become a champion. I can't show you.
Yeah.
I can't show, but I could tell you. I could hold your hand through it. And to becoming a champion, to me, it was so hard. It was almost an impossible task.
Yeah.
It was never going to happen. But then once I became champion, I thought, is that it? It's so hard to try and explain it to people. And when you say it's a thin line between success and failure, it really is a thin line.
Yeah.
And it's not just about being successful and being champion. It's about staying champion. So if you can stay champion, then that's where the lessons really learn. Because once you've got something to aim for, once you've got something you want to do or you want to achieve, you've got an aim. What happens when you've achieved it? What happens to the hunger, the desire, the want, the motivation?
Mm-hmm.
That's the lesson that Brendan teaches us. Not just to get to the top of the mountain, but to stay there.
It's amazing. I love the admiration from you is clear to see. You know, it does remind me almost like the Customato Mike Tyson relationship. You know, it was like son and father. It's amazing. I mean, my trainer passed away not too long ago, a long time ago when I was fine, and he was not like that. He just didn't really say anything. You know, and he loved me, and. He when he's passed and we looked through his stuff and he saved all like the newspaper clippings of like when I was boxing and when I was singing and when I was doing it just saved them, you know, and it's a beautiful relationship, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could kind of, you know, I know of course it's impossible, but if you could kind of sit on a bench, let's say with Brendan and just kind of say anything to him just one more time, and what would you say?
I'd say thank you. Thank you for everything. What he taught me was not just boxing; it was life skills. What he taught me made me the person I am today, and no one will ever match that. And when you talk about a good man, he was a really good man.
Yeah.
And we can say it. You throw genius out, you throw brilliant out, you throw all these amazing great out, all these tags out to people. He was one of the very few true trainers, coaches left.
Teacher.
Because he just didn't train. Yes, he taught you. He taught you mentally as well as to physically get yourself into shape. He taught you. His methods were mad. You know, in today's world, how we're very woke and very PC, trigger happy.
Yeah.
Brendan would have been an absolute walking minefield, but he'd make you understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
He'd make you get what he's saying, and Brendan was absolutely brilliant.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you obviously turned professional. As an amateur, you lost most of your fights, didn't you? And then went to professional, and you lost the first 3 of your fights. I mean, obviously, let's say at this time you were wanting for a better word, you know, weren't as strong in the mind as you were now or were later in your career. I mean, how did that make you feel? Did you just think, I'm no good at this, and I just want to give up?
I didn't care. I didn't care if I won or lost. In my head, I was fighting 5 fights at a time. And Brendan kept saying, if you stick in it, you'll be champion. I thought, he's mad. He don't know what he's talking about. But so in my head, I thought 5 fights at a time. So basically, I lost the first one, second one, third one. I thought, you know, I'll get to 5 and jack in.
Okay.
If I keep losing. And then I won. I thought, bloody hell, we'll get to 5 again. You know, I kept doing it that way, thinking, right, if I lose, I'm done. If I lose, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept winning. And I never thought I was good. I just thought they were rubbish. And this is where my mindset was upside down. And when it comes to having the confidence to match your ability, I never thought I was good. I thought everybody else was rubbish.
Okay.
But even when I was British champion, even when I was European champion, I didn't think I was good. I didn't think, yeah, I'm the man. I just thought They weren't very good. Whereas my thinking was upside down. When you go in there, especially the fight, you've got to go in and think, I am the best.
Yeah, of course.
I am the best. I didn't. I just didn't think they were good. And so when I eventually came champion, that penny had dropped, and I believed I was the best fighter in the world. Don't matter
Okay.
if you believe it. Don't matter if nobody else believes it. I believed I was the
Yeah, yeah.
best fighter in the world, and that was it. That's why I stayed champion.
That's awesome. It's actually quite. It's really cool to hear from the person himself. You know, kind of. You've gone through this inner struggle. This I don't know. It's like I'm going to sound stupid here. It's like you've been like a flower. Do you know what I mean? That's just bloomed over time, and then, like Brendan said, when you come to 30, 32, you know you're going to rule the world, and you did. So your first title fight, you fought Carlos de Leon, didn't you? And apparently, I mean, I'll say apparently because I wasn't there. But still, you got a lot of bad press from the way that you
I was
fought
a
in
boy.
that fight.
I was a boy. I was a boy in a man's body, and the opportunity came about. Brendan said, "Look, the opportunity's there, you know, and you learn from this. If you win, it's a bonus, but you learn from this. You've got to stick it out." And so the opportunity was there. When I got in there, remember that mindset I was talking about, thinking I didn't think I was good. I just thought they were rubbish. Carlos Leon was the one that where that mindset applied. Because when I looked at his record, what he achieved, I thought, oh shit, this guy's good. I didn't think I should have been in the ring with him. You know, I didn't have any amateur pedigree. I'm looking, thinking, God, what am I doing here? I've never boxed anybody. Now I'm going to get exposed. I'd bottled it before I even got in the ring
Right.
because my mindset was upside down. I now look at that young man fighting. And when I look at that fight, I think, wow, you know, if you now I know what I know. You know, it's unbelievable. And I drew. The fight stunk, but I drew at 22 years old. But then I thought to myself, well, if he'd have won, how would your life have turned out?
Okay.
I'd have probably lost in my first or second defense because I was then a fighter that was world champion. I would have been a fighter that was world champion. I didn't believe in myself.
I see.
I didn't believe he was the best fighter in the world. So it would have been a matter of time. So regardless, the result was the best thing that happened because that's when my development really started. Up until that point, I was coasting through. I was bullshitting my way through. You know, I'm thinking, bloody hell, I'm going to get exposed here. But it wasn't then after that. That's when the real hard slog, emotion, and hard work started because how I saw how people could change, how human nature is so fickle. I saw how cruel people could be. And so it made me want now to be a good fighter. It made me want to be successful. And I know it was a long, hard process because I had another world title fight probably 2 years afterwards. I'd not got over that. I'd not got over the backlash of the first world title fight. I'd not got over the demons of thinking, John, you're a boy in a man's body. You should be here. And I was reminded that when I was boxing for the title.
Yeah.
And I thought, I shouldn't be here. I'm not ready yet. I'm not old enough yet. Do something not mature enough. Listen, you come across fighters like Princess Mohammed, Ryan Rose. When they were 17, 18, they were men. They were men in the ring.
Yeah.
Because some fighters, when they get in the ring, that's when they come their own. When I was that age, I was a boy. I was still a boy in the ring when I was like 25 years old.
Yeah.
But some fighters, it clicks with them straight away. It didn't click with me until I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And I thought, no, man, you know, I know how to handle this. Some people are cool under the pressure, take the pressure. It just took time. Man, I had to learn my job publicly. So good days, I had them publicly. Bad days, I had them publicly.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue was.
That's awesome. Now, you've gone on from being this shy, timid, you know, friendless young man to being, you know, the longest reigning cruiserweight of all time. I mean, what an inspirational story for the kids to hear. I mean, what one piece of advice could you give to someone who was in your shoes?
One, I would make sure you've got a mentor. And when you find that mentor, you know who he or she is. They'll come out. And then it's about believing in yourself. And if you want it enough and you're prepared to sacrifice enough, trust me, in time, you will get everything you want. You might not get it the first time, second time, third time, or fourth time. You might have a few ups and downs. You might come across a few distractions. But you will get what you want. because I was the person the least expected to succeed. I left school with no real qualification. I no confidence. And so for me to end up being a champion, obviously something happened. And trust me,
Yeah.
I wasn't a natural fighter. So I don't think I was naturally gifted. No way, not in a million years. I listened. So whatever you want to do, if you can see that path to how it can be done, or you've got someone that will guide you there, then get on it. And
Yeah.
you might fall off a few times. You might think, this isn't for me, I can't do this. If you want it enough, anything's possible.
Brilliant advice. I want to learn something from you, mate. I want to learn. I read some stuff earlier on. I don't just jump in blindly by any stretch of the imagination. And I was laughing. I thought I just need to speak to him about it. I've got to. So a few crazy things happened in your career, and I just don't know anything about them. So I want to hear it from the man himself.
Yeah.
The first one was that you got robbed for a fight and robbed in a fight, but it prevented you from getting shot. I mean, what's happened there?
So I'd flown out to Brazil. I boxed a guy called Aldes Rodriguez, and I beat him, but they gave him the decision. The scorecards were that bad. The governing body said, "Nah, this looks dodgy." So they gave me an instant rematch. I think 3 or 4 months later, they flew me back out to Brazil for this fight. So now I flew out and I thought, they're not going to get me this time. And robbed as in, they gave him the decision when he shouldn't have given the decision. Exactly the same thing. I got the guy down. The referee pulled me back and gave me a point. For putting him. I'm like, and so people are throwing stuff at me in the ring and everything. And it was in Sao Paulo we were. Anyway, we came out. I had a load of, and they paid me in cash. 30, 40 grand. I've got it in cash right, man. I've got it in right tucked in my bag in my pants.
Yeah.
Around my waist. And we're in this car going back. There's 5 of us crammed in the car. The police pull the car up, and the driver's like, "Oh shit, oh gosh." I said, "What's
Loads
up?"
of money.
Yeah, these guys will rob you. I said, "It's the police." He said, "Yes, they'll rob you." And I thought, I ain't getting out of the car. No way. So I sat in the car, and they're talking to him and made everybody get out of the car. And I stayed there. And John saying, "Johnny, get out the car. Get out the car, Johnny." I said, "I ain't getting out. I'm not getting out." I'm just sat there like a miserable kid because they just robbed me again with the decision.
Yeah.
And I just turned around, looked over my shoulder. I seen these 2 cops over the car with the guns pointing at my steering. I'm like,
What?
shit.
Seriously?
Uh-oh. So I got out of the car, and then I got out, and we're all lined up at the car. I thought, and they said out there that it's the highest death rate out there. Shooters are mad, and that's like they shoot first, ask questions later.
Where was
And
this
this was
then?
one of those occasions in Brazil, Sao Paulo.
God.
And so now they're patting everybody down, and like the driver knows what's going to happen, and so he's talking to him in a language, and I'm like, and then he said Magilla, the guy who box, Aldes Rodriguez, and his nickname was Magilla.
Yeah.
So the guy said, "You box Magilla?" I said, "Yes." "You win?" "No." They started laughing. "Okay, no problem." And they said, "Go on, off you go." They didn't pat me down, and I thought, "You pat me down, that money's gone."
Yeah, of course.
And that was it. It was like, wow, we're so close to getting turned over.
That's crazy. And like I say, this is the best one. I mean, I just read this earlier and I thought, what the hell? Like, how has this even come up in conversation? And I'm sure you know what's coming, but I think you're
The dog.
Yeah, like I'll tell the audience first so they know what's going on. Where were you? Like Philippines or Thailand or something like that? Where were you?
I was in Thailand.
And someone said something about masturbating a dog. I mean, mate,
Yeah, yeah.
Put some context in for me.
I'd never been to Bangkok, and so naive of me, boxing out in Thailand, a place called Chiang Mai. They flew us out to Bangkok first. Lovely hotel it was. And it was a great experience. You've got to be very open-minded to go out there, trust me. You've got to wow, you're going to bars and everything like Jesus. We've got a guy taking us everywhere. So there's me, my mate, I had him down in the sparring partner, my coach, Brendan's son actually, John Ingle, going for a walk. And as we're walking down, there's a security guard sat outside this department store.
Right.
And he's got his dog. And I thought he was stroking a dog. And as we're walking past, we get closer. He's pulling the dog off. I'm like, what the? Really? It's in the street. He just He just sat down, just pulling the dog off. I'm like, as I'm walking past, I'm like, tapping, yo. I said to the guide, and the guy just, the guide's walking, went, oh, yes. Like it was no big deal. Like everybody, I'm like, I said, obviously we knew what he was doing. I'm like, why is nobody saying anything? He said, oh, that's how you get loyalty from your dog, from your animal. But it was very matter of fact, like that's how I'm like, what?
Like it's a
I said,
real
yes,
thing.
yes, yeah. That's how you get loyalty for your animal. I just say, don't you know? And I'm like, wow. Honestly, it was like, it was mad. It was absolutely mad.
That's
I just
hilarious.
thought that is just. If I wish I had listened, if mobile phones were out then, that like they are now, I'd have been on it. But
Yeah.
it was just different, just different.
So funny. I mean, you've got so many fans out there, Johnny, who love you and they watch you every week. I mean, we've got nearly 200,000 fans here at Boxing TV. What have you got to say to all the fans out there who love you?
I appreciate the support. I'm like you. I'm a fan. I just happen to used to be able to box as well. I get excited. I get giddy. I'm just like you when I see amazing fights. I've just got to be cool, pretend to be cool. Like I'm like this is no big deal to me. It's a big deal to me. Just because I've done it, don't mean I always get it right. Sometimes I'll call a fight. I'll call it, and if you don't agree, you don't agree. That's debate. That's what it is.
I
I
agree.
don't mind falling on my sword. I don't mind, but I'll only say what I think, and that way people respect that
Yeah,
because
they
if you
do.
say what you think, yeah, if you say what you think, even if you think dickhead, you said what you thought,
Yeah,
and so you know where you stand with me, and I've seen it so often where you see people out there, they tell you what the narrative is, or they tell you what they think you want to hear.
yeah,
That don't work with me. I like straight talking, and if I think you don't know what you're talking about, I think yeah, whatever. That's why I love doing my job, and
great.
people love all over you. And I actually, if I'm honest with you, I don't get much backlash.
Yeah,
People say, "Johnny, you're an idiot. What are you talking about?" And I laugh it off. I don't take it personal.
yeah.
Oh, it's my opinion.
I
We've all
completely
got
agree with you.
opinions,
I agree with you
and that's
so
the best way
much.
to deal with it.
I had Paulie Malignaggi on the show the other day for the first episode of the series, and we went at it together. I commentate too, and commentate around the world. And I get the same thing. I get a bit of backlash, and to be honest, I don't care. And we had it. We went at it. Me and Paulie were saying, "Listen, I'm not bothered. I don't care if I'll give you an example. Last night I was commentating. A lad come up to me, just finished. How do you think I did, Dan? How do you think I did? I went, well, I'll be honest, mate. I thought it was a draw. No way, Dan. No way. I'm telling you now. You won the first. You lost the second and third. It was only a 4-round fight. You won the last. You did well with your jab, but it was a draw. And then today, I'm looking on social media. He's like, I've watched it back, and I think it was a draw. I was like, yeah. I thought. Do you like my accent, by the way? It's quite realistic, that Johnny.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's how you. But that's what I'm saying. And the thing is, people respect you more for that.
Yeah.
But it's not just saying something controversial just to be controversial. If you're going to say something controversial, you've got to back it up. So don't just say things just to get the headlines. You've got to be able to explain why you said what you said and how you've come to that conclusion. And if you do that, then good.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, then you're just full of it. You're just one of those people that just want to grab the headline. People respect that, even if you don't agree with it, they respect it.
100%.
And that's what and that's one thing I learned from Brendan in regards to, because he was he was so against the system. They didn't get what he was doing. He'd stand up and say what he had to say. Sometimes he played a fool to catch the wires, but he's always ended up exactly where he wanted to be.
Absolutely. And especially how diverse the gym was. I mean, people from all different nationalities at that time. And my dad's from Sheffield, my dad's from Manor. And back in the day in Sheffield when it was bad, and you know how bad it was back then. And, having a multicultural gym like that, he's going to get backlash. But God rest his soul, God rest his soul. It's been an honour for us all to know about his story today. Never mind be involved and have him as a father figure. And I just want to say, really, from my end, a massive thank you, Johnny, for coming on the show. It's been a massive pleasure, and I really appreciate your time, mate.
The pleasure's all mine. And you know what? Winkerbank the gym at Winkerbank would not have been the gym it was if it wasn't for Brendan. They talk about multiculturalism today like it's a new word.
Yeah.
Our gym was multicultural 50 years ago. You had black, white, Asian, male, female, able, disabled in the gym, and Brendan. That was because of Brendan, and it was like the national nation, the multi nations in our gym, and people just didn't get it. Now it's the buzzword. It's like we want to do this. We've been
Yeah.
doing it for years.
Fashionable.
And
Yeah, I
so
see what you mean. Yeah.
So I'm grateful. You know, you wake up and thinking about things you're grateful. I'm grateful to be fortunate enough to have known Brendan. I'm grateful to even have my name even mentioned alongside him.
Bless your heart.
And I'm grateful for everything the man he turned me into. So when it comes to the fans, thank you very much, very much. Big respect to everybody, and everybody's got an opinion. It's not this boxing, it's special, and if you like it, that's why